Hey flower folks, welcome to Share Inspirations. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 of my favorite winter reading books that you can check out this winter while you're dealing with the winter blues, especially if you are up north. I'm going to take you through each book and share with you the sample of each book so you can decide whether you would like to read. The first one is Creating Sanctuary. This is an amazing read if you are wanting to not just create a flower garden, but an area where you can sit and enjoy nature or have a cup of tea or coffee and just relax. If you are wanting to build a koi pond or a flower garden or a rain garden perhaps, this is an inspiration as to how to get started. I personally think that something like this is needed in today's culture that we live in, because we are so bombarded with negative information all the time, and we need a place to relax and just enjoy the birds and enjoy the wildlife that is attracted to our gardens when we design it that way. This particular book is about creating sacred spaces, and it doesn't have to be the same for everybody. They just kind of give you an idea of what you can do. This could be a memorial garden. This could be just a place to have coffee with friends. This could be a place of worship, prayers, anything that you want it to be. So imagination is key here. And this is the author takes you through different phases. The reason why I'm sharing the samples here is so you can pause the video if you want and get a read of what they're talking about, so you can decide whether you would like to read the book or not. Also, I will leave all of the links to purchase the books on Kindle. That's where I read all of my books. Also, you can check out your library. The same links will have the option to buy hardcover copies if you want. But because I am showing it to you in Kindle, I found that was the easiest way to share and get to recommend the books that are a perfect read. A lot of times we sit in our garden winter blooms and start ordering a bunch of seed, and at the end don't end up using all the seed that gets ordered. So this is a great place to, like I was saying earlier, all of these things that are recommended here, meditation, relaxation, rejuvenation. It's a beautiful read and gives you practical knowledge. Something also that I wanted to mention is all of these books that I'm recommending today, 5 books that I'm recommending today, they're all based upon practical knowledge and not because of their photography. I personally don't recommend anything that has just nice pictures and that's all they're having to publish the book for, because I feel like if I want to see the photos, I can just go on Google Images or perhaps take the photos myself. I want to actually have practical knowledge of things, of how to do certain things, and not just look at photos. And I recommend the same stuff that people can get practical knowledge out of and build their own gardens and build their own knowledge based upon the good information that I found very helpful. As you see here, they're talking about sound. It's a beautiful way of adding perhaps a fountain in the garden or a koi pond, any water feature, the garden art they suggest. So of course there are, once you get a rough idea, you can also check out some videos on YouTube of how other people have done their gardens. Since everybody's garden is going to look different because we all have different spaces, my yard doesn't look the same as your yard, and the next person's yard doesn't look the same as yours. So it's all up to you of how you design it and how you go about planning. It gives you a very practical guide of how to add features and where to add features, and how to build and so on and so forth. The author of this book is in Washington, and they put this book together in the honor of their father. The second book that I want to recommend is The Cut Flower Patch by Louise Curley. This book is a wonderful practical read as well, because she starts out by talking about how she didn't want to continue to purchase flowers from the market and how they were hurting the environment and the flower miles, basically the same agenda that I talk about in all my videos. And the goal of my channel is to be ecologically friendly and not leave such a harsh carbon footprint by flying the flowers around. And I really like this author because she recognizes and registers this fact, and wrote this book all around the growing the cut flowers because of that. Right here is what I'm talking about, the environmental dilemma. As I say, she's talking about UK because she's in UK, but in United States it's the same thing. 80% of the flowers currently are coming from Ecuador and South America, parts of South America. So this is really nice to see that other authors are also into supporting this. And to me, I feel like you should always be supporting a local business. If you can't grow your own flowers, purchase them from a local farm. If you can't, of course, if you have one near you, if you can't grow them in a greenhouse or don't have access to them. She also talks about the things to be used in the cutting garden and all of the good stuff. She talks about how to understand the seasons changing and so on and so forth, the different varieties of cut flowers, their vase life, because that to me is very important. If somebody's not talking about the most important factor, which is, vase life, the height of the plant, because you don't want flowers that are a couple of inches and that's it. Also, she's talking about considering wildlife, so growing for the bees, growing for the butterflies, the pollinators, and so on and so forth. I am also a bee-friendly garden. I personally don't leave everything there outside because I have to cut, otherwise everything is going to go to seed. But this is a very good practical guide. Right here is what I was talking about earlier. She's talking about vase life, and this is something I'm very big on. So I want to see the author talk about vase life and recommend things that either A, I didn't know existed, or B, bring my attention to something that I knew but wasn't growing because of production levels, and I thought that, oh well, it's not going to produce. Larkspur was one of those flowers for me for a very long time. I felt like they just didn't produce the amount they should be producing, and I started to sow the seed in abundance, and guess what? I started having a ton of flowers. And it's not really a cut and come again type of plant, but it still produces a ton, and the vase life is phenomenal. And she's talking about location here, keeping in mind that this is an English gardener. She's in UK. She's not here in the United States. I picked another book that is from the author here in the States, and I picked one from the UK. And I picked books that are not your everyday common knowledge books. Sarah Raven is one that comes up all the time. Her cutting garden book is very famous. I picked ones that are a little one-off, that aren't very commonly known, and can be very helpful. Because Sarah Raven is a name very well known. Most people who know cut flower gardening, that name comes up. Everybody knows about that. So I didn't include her because I figured that I'll just mention it, and you can locate that on Google. She's talking about tools, and all of this information that I'm sharing here with you. This is all sample book. You can at any point pause this video and read what it says here if you want to. If you're not sure if you want to purchase the book or not. All of these books on Kindle are anywhere from $2 to $10, and there's also a link right next to that one. The option, to purchase books that are hardcover also. And this was the second book. So here we have our third book. This one is a very interesting do-it-yourself projects and crafts book. I personally find that this is a very well written book with a ton of projects that you can make over the winter to use in the garden come spring. So look at all of this stuff that is written here. They are talking about how to do a flower press, natural dyeing. They're talking about seed bombs. They're talking about foraged wreaths, foraged garlands, branch weaving, herbal lotions. This I found a very good read because there's a few things on here that I have already made and a few things that I want to make. There's one that is going to come up. It's a wood burning project, and it's a garden sign. I'm actually going to be gifting that as a wedding gift, and it's going to be um, a nest, a bird's nest with a recycled kettle, and it's going to have wood burn saying "Home Tweet Home," and it's going to have the couple's first, both of the couple's first names, and home tweet home, and a few things underneath. This is kind of what I have in mind for the sign for the birdhouse actually, and I'll actually share the video when I make that and finish the project. And they talk about how they put it down. This tool that you see here, you can actually purchase this at Harbor Freight or Hobby Lobby. Harbor Freight, I believe, has it for $8 to $10, and Hobby Lobby, I'm not sure. You can use a 40% off coupon and probably get about the same price or a little bit less. And here is the third book. Our fourth book is called The Aromatherapy Garden, and this is a good read because not only does it share the knowledge of fragrant flowers, but it also teaches you how it helps us in our day-to-day life as a stress buster. And you can use the same flowers as potpourri once they're dried. A great read. They talk about wildlife in here as well. I found that this book, as well as the Creating Sanctuary book, are hand in hand with basic well-being gardening. The cut flower patch that I shared with you, and then do it yourself that I shared with you, those are more of knowledge and winter projects related. And there's one more book that I'm going to share after this one. That one is called The Flower Arranger's Garden. This here she talks about how to preserve the scents and how to name the fragrances and so on and so forth. She even goes into making oils, essential oils, and so on and so forth. I have never personally made essential oils, so I'm not sure how that would work. However, I have certainly made potpourri with my roses and potpourri with my lemon balm plants that actually turn out to smell very nice for many, many months after they've been cut and dried. She also talks about how the scents of the plants actually help the pollinators, the good pollinators, be attracted into your garden, as well as it repels pests. Certain scents repels pests. Here's the attracting pollinators chapter. And as gardeners, I do like to see the authors registering, of course, the climate change factors, the environmental factor, the ecological factor of the flying of the flowers, and so on and so forth, saving the bees and whatnot. Those are all good, nice things for the authors to register, because those are obvious problems that are going to continue to happen, and if not taken care of now, then things are just going to continue to get worse. And us gardeners can do a lot by planting a lot of pollinator friendly flowers and not just for our own benefit cut flowers, but they are multi-purpose flowers. I have never had a clove plant in my garden. This book actually taught me about clove plants. This is something that I'm going to be adding in my garden this year. She talks about memory scents and antidepressant scents. I love the smell of rosemary. Oh my god. Rosemary flowers are usually loaded with bees. Jasmine, basil, and peppermint. A beautiful um, combination of scents. I find that reading in the winter is a wonderful way of um, keeping yourself from buying unnecessary seed. We sit in the winter blues, and I personally garden in the greenhouse and cut flowers from it and direct sow things in it. But because it's so small, and even though I'm continuing to cut, the main garden is still hibernating, barely getting started by daffodils and so on. I find that I sit around and want to purchase the entire world of seed from the dollar store, or even when you're trying to be frugal, you still don't want to purchase so many seeds. I have learned that I only purchase for 1 year's garden, not the next 5 years garden, because I only have, of course, so much space. I think anybody who grows cut flowers or just flowers in general, herbs in general, would agree that we tend to overdo seeds. Alright, so this was our fourth book's preview, sample pages, and so this is our fifth and final book. This is called The Flower Arranger's Garden. This is by an author named Patricia Barrett. She is a US author who resides in Massachusetts. One thing that I really liked about this book is she also talks about flowers in a way that you can use pretty much anything in your bouquets and stop looking at flowers as though they're a vine and so on and so forth. She also talks about drying and preserving and whatnot. Very practical guide. Not many pictures, as I was mentioning earlier. I don't really like and recommend authors that just focus on nice photos. But this is a very practical guide, very practical read. They don't allow for too much preview, but what I see as far as this is concerned, it's a pretty good preview of what I have read in the book. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!